Okay, your only goal should be burying NC State. I think people are getting a little sidetracked on some other things. So your choices on the poll question are going to be this. And be honest. If you believe that NC State's going to get blown out, there's no doubt about it. You can pick seeing Nico light it up versus a Power 5 school. It would be another one after he did so against Iowa, but certainly a different scenario here. James Pearce going off for multiple sacks, or watching newcomers like Boo Carter have a breakout game, or just a blowout. You don't care, no matter how it happens. Caleb, it's got to be the latter and the last one, right?
Yeah, you want the blowout the most. And here's the biggest reason why. It's funny, you brought up Iowa. NC State has a similar philosophy to Iowa. We talked with Noah Fleshman on Wednesday, and I did a little more digging. They run a 3-3-5. Their philosophy is make you work the field to score. Well, what that means is, as much as you want to see Nico light it up, he may just have to take what's given to him in this game. And if he takes what's given to him in this game, that may mean 175 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, or even 1 touchdown, no interception. And it may look very pedestrian, but it's very similar to the Iowa game. It'll be so extremely efficient that then I would have to come back and say Will West, who we spoke to yesterday, was right, and his Heisman odds won't increase at all. In fact, they would decrease, because a deeper dive into this NC State defense it's very much, we'll let you get whatever you want between the hash marks, 20-20. But we think that if we make you work the field and move the ball, you're bound to make a mistake at some point. And I think that that's going to require, again, a level of patience from Nico Iamaleava that could prevent him from being able to light it up.
New poll question I just posted. What do you most want to see against NC State? And the choices are not the blowout. I moved on with that. Nico goes off, Pearce with multiple sacks, or breakout players, or a strong running game. Actually, I put a strong running game as a third choice. It's a strong running game. And here's why. Because after talking to Cooper and getting insight for some other people yesterday, this NC State defensive front isn't bad. And I make my picks on Thursday, and I might have altered it based off what I was told by multiple people yesterday. So if Tennessee comes out and runs the ball for 200 yards, and we're going to get into the stats. They were top 25, by the way, NC State last year in stopping the run in some statistics. So if they run the ball for 200 yards, I think it's more significant for Tennessee moving forward than Nico throwing for 350 yards. Am I crazy, Caleb?
No, it's not. And it's particularly because of what I just talked about, too, with the way NC State plays. Nico may not get the chance to throw for 350 yards, and you got to be able to see. And this is the most.
I think it's the opposite. I think they're going to force Nico to beat him. Because as good as I think he's looked and you think he's looked, still as a coach, and Dave Doran looks about as old school coach as they come, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to say, I'm going to make that freshman beat me. I've been around a lot of old school coaches, buddy. And I'm just telling you, that is his, that at least started his mindset last week. He may have seen Nico against Chattanooga and altered it a little bit, but I guarantee you on that Friday after they got away with that win against Western Carolina, he said, well, we got a freshman quarterback next week. I'm going to make him beat me. I guarantee you.
If that's how he thinks, by the way, that was almost a Buzz Peterson accent you did for him. Is that your stereotypical ball coach? You know? All right, I'm just going to have to say this. If that's what he's thinking, then no, you don't need to. I disagree. You don't need to worry about running it. You want to see Nico light it up. Every time Nico gets the chance to light it up, you want to see it because he will have the chance. And I'm telling you, I think Nico, I don't think you can afford to give him the chance to light it up. I'm telling you guys, he is incredibly good. By the way, Heath Schuler and I both said the same thing yesterday. Heath said, don't throw Aiden White's way. He coached Aiden White in high school, right? And yes. I listed Aiden White as one of the top 5 Wolfpack to watch for. So we do think on the same wavelength. But where I might disagree with Heath a little bit is I think if Nico's going to be the Heisman contender, he needs to be. He's got to target team's best cornerback and not be afraid to throw their way.
I don't think he's. Oh, I don't think he's going to be. That's a good player, and I think that it's going to be. And this is different from yesterday. I think it's going to be much more. I think it's going to be tougher to run the football than I thought earlier in the week, and I think it's going to be easier to throw. I think they may make a change at safety, and I hinted at that earlier in the week. That's from my football sources. I think they're unsure of their safety position. So if it's tough to run the football, Caleb, and you've got an unsure safety position, who does that favor on Tennessee's football team?
If it's tough to run the football and you've got an unsure safety position, you're talking about NC State, right?
Yes.
Well, that obviously would favor Nico.
Very, very much so, and I think it will. It would favor.
And they did have an injured safety. That's true.
Yep. And so I don't know that there's that chemistry back there. It would favor you if you joined Hooker's Corner, and we would greatly appreciate that. Hooker's Corner, just for $9.98 a month, you get increased recruiting coverage, more interaction with me and Caleb Calhoun, and also an opportunity to win a monthly grand prize thanks to our friends at Sports Treasures. Sports Treasures, over 5 million sports treasures, and we absolutely love them. So much more sports memorabilia everywhere, daily updates. Go to Facebook or use that QR code and you can follow them on Facebook. If what I believe is to be true, that Tennessee is going to have to throw the ball well, often, and for a lot of yardage to win, and Nico's as good as I think he is, then yes, I believe that Nico's odds will increase significantly, because he could throw for 350 or 400 yards. Let's not forget what this offense could do in 2022. The benchmark for most quarterbacks and most offenses where you say he had a great game is what, 300 yards passing, Caleb?
Yes. That's
almost another day at the office in Josh Heupel's offense.
I agree. And also it depends on the era too, because there's only like a certain window where a 300-yard game was great. Because Dave, let's call it what it is. In 1995, if a quarterback threw for 300 yards, what you really thought was, well, they got behind and they were desperately trying to throw it to get back in the game. Like when Peyton Manning threw 466 yards against Florida that one year, and that was a record. Yeah, well, they fell behind 35-0. So all they did was throw it to try to get back into the game.
No, agreed. All right, so go ahead and vote on our poll question now. What do you want to see against NC State? What do you most want to see? Nico goes off, Pearce with multiple sacks, a strong running game. So this could be one where I'm not going to say Tennessee can't run the football, because I can't remember a time that they just – how many times have they just all out been stonewalled at the line and haven't been able to run the football under Josh Heupel in the past 3 years when he had most of his guys? Is there a game you can recall that it just didn't happen?
No. Yes, Alabama. They couldn't run the ball against Alabama. Okay. They got stonewalled consistently last year against Alabama. And that's why a lot of people thought that Tennessee choked away that game and were mad at the rest. The truth of the matter is Alabama was going to come back and win because Tennessee could not buy a yard when they were running the football.
All right, so we could ask on the message board, how does NC State's defense compare to Iowa, in your opinion? I'll give you my thoughts. Much faster. I don't think they're going to be as conservative in dropping people back. I think they're kind of worried about Joe Milton, but Joe Milton was never going to play, as we told you. And I just don't think they wanted to get blown out 69-3 in a bowl game. But that 35
because 35-0 looks so much better.
It does look. I mean, it looks like you didn't show up, but I mean, 69-3 when you've got a month to prepare would have looked awful. And Tennessee could have done that with their lack of speed. So I think NC State has more speed and is better athletically. I think they're better up front for sure. And after talking to Cooper, I believe that even more. He has a lot of respect for their front, and he said it's not just their toughness. And you can watch that on the Vol Report, brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning, over 50 years in East Tennessee. Integrity matters. But if you can watch that, and he said it's not only their toughness, it's not only their players, it's also their scheme. Now, they lost one of their better linebackers. You can read about that on offthehooksports.com, to the draft, who went with the third pick. So they're probably not as good as they were last year, but they are still pretty darn good.